Ever wanted to smell like a dusty old vintage velvet sofa? This one's for you. Hello, welcome back to Seldomly Often. I'm Daniel. Today we're talking fragrances and this is a practical review of Molinard Habanita. These reviews are for fragrances I have a lot of experience with, multiple wears and many situations, and I'm meant to give you a general idea of what it feels to wear the fragrance. As per usual, I do a lot of research before buying fragrances these days, and I don't really like to go into notes and accords as I don't really feel like they benefit the end user. I'd rather talk about the wear experience as a whole. So this is another review similar to the Fragonard one that will probably get very little views and very little traction. You know what? I don't care because this fragrance is absolutely worth talking about, and Molinard as a house is absolutely worth talking about. Molinard is a fragrance house from the Provence region in France. It's basically the competitor to Fragonard from Grasse. And it's a historical house. They've made a lot of interesting perfumes throughout the years that have probably impacted modern perfumery as a whole. And they have a lot of really good modern offerings that are just interesting and unique. Molinard's approach to perfumery, similar to Fragonard, is low cost, relatively, good quality, and bad marketing. And similarly to Fragonard, Molinard is not very well known, although it might be a little bit more well known across the ocean. Habanita is a very old Chypre fragrance from Molinard. It has a very particular smell. It was designed, I guess, for women, maybe, or it was at least marketed towards women, but I think that this is actually pretty unisex. It smells very different from what you would expect. And this is another one of those cases in which reading the notes doesn't really lead to understanding what the scent is like, or it doesn't really give you a great expectation of what the scent is like. A lot of Chypre fragrances basically start out floral in a way and then transition to this like mossy or woody base. This is, it does follow that recipe, but the smell and the vividness and the imagery that you get is completely different from other ones. As I mentioned, Molinard is pretty low cost for what they offer. This bottle, actually Habanita in general, is a pretty affordable perfume. This is a 30 ml bottle. And it ran, I think, about like 55 euros or something like that. I bought this in Grasse when I visited. I just wanted something from Molinard and I smelled this and I was like, this is actually pretty cool, and I bought it. I think that you can get the 75 ml for something like 80, 90 euros, something like that. So again, pretty good price considering how strong and beast mode the thing is. The other Molinard offerings range a lot in price. They have, again, that purple line, which is characterized similarly to Fragonard with more of a one note, one ingredient type of fragrance, and the fragrances are named after that specific ingredient. So again, we have fig, I think there's like patchouli. As usual, before going into the scent profile, let's talk about the presentation a little bit. Again, Molinard is better than Fragonard. I really complained about the Fragonard, the presentation as a whole. I think that their marketing is just poor. It's not their fault. They decide to just keep it cheap and keep it simple in order to offer a product that is a little bit cheaper, I guess. But overall, the level of cheapness, the level of economy that they're aiming for kind of hurts their presentation and prestige as a whole. Molinard is, again, a step beyond that. I think that their presentation is good. They're not very well known for some reason. Even if you go into their boutiques look completely different from the Fragonard one. It just feels more high-end, although they are more or less on the same level, I would say. And scent profile-wise and scent quality-wise, they're pretty much comparable. This bottle of Habanita is the 30 ml. I am sort of regretting this purchase. Not because I don't like the scent, I actually really like the scent, but I should have gone for the 75 ml. The bigger 75 ml bottle is a lot more interesting, and it's actually the signature Lalique design bottle. With the women here, they're actually sculpted into the glass and they're 3D. It's way more beautiful. And I didn't know that the 30 ml bottle was this, but when I unwrapped it, I was already leaving Grasse. And I looked at it and I was like, damn, I should have got the other one. This does not impact the scent whatsoever, and I'll probably even never use 30 ml, but I'm a little bit bummed out because I wanted something like a statement piece, like a reference from Molinard. The rest of the presentation is pretty decent. This glass bottle is sort of like wrapped. You can see the seams. It's not too horrible. The cap is a plastic cap that is firm to place. I have no idea what the 75 ml bottle cap is, but I'm assuming it's more or less the same. The atomizer is decent, nothing to write home about. Let's just give it a spray. Yeah, usual atomizer, middle of the road. It does its job. The box it came in, I don't even remember. I just threw it out right away. Forgettable. I want to underline that if you're interested in this as like a statement piece or like as a collector item, go with the 75 ml. You'll be happy you did for the bottle design only. I guess that's it about the presentation. I could speak forever about the marketing of these houses, but I think I beat that horse way beyond its death. Okay, so the scent profile. I mentioned this is a very interesting fragrance that is sort of unexpected, specifically if you're reading the notes of this. And yes, it's a Chypre, and yes, it's sort of old school in a way, but I think it's completely wearable even today if you're into a specific type of vibe. The vibe in question is heavy, 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 and I want to underline heavy, powdery notes. This is probably the most powdery smelling fragrance I've ever smelled, like ever. This is like straight up smelling baby powder. If you like that, you're in heaven, because this is exactly what it is. If you don't like that, you'll never like this fragrance. So let's get a little bit into more detail here. In my intro, I said this smells like an old, dusty, vintage couch. And what I meant by that was that this fragrance, for some reason, it really conveys a vintage feel to me. And not vintage like old or like an old school fragrance, not like a vintage fragrance that used to be worn in a certain period of time. But it really transports me to a place, and that place, it might be similar for many people due to the imaginary collective. It might be just your grandma's house. And what I mean by that is like I see this old-fashioned furnished home, like from the 70s or 80s, and I see this like velvet sofa, I see this weird wallpaper on the walls, maybe some dusty old carpets or rugs, or just like everything is like covered in this layer of like fur, like unnecessary fur, like from the 70s. Imagine those furry, obnoxious carpets from the 70s, but an old version of that. So it's a little bit worn, it's a little bit dusty, a little bit musty. I wouldn't say moldy, because this fragrance smells very clean. It doesn't smell bad at all. There's nothing animalic about it. There's nothing off-putting about it. It is challenging in a way, just because it goes that powdery direction with such strength and decision. But it's definitely, I would say, it smells clean and it smells good, but it has this heaviness. It's a really, really heavy, powdery fragrance. It's kind of like, again, that sofa, that velvet sofa that has been washed too much, that has been soaking up sort of like cycles of soap and cigarettes and food, and then soap again, and then someone sitting on it forever. It's just like this worn in sort of type of house that has this like thick atmosphere. You know, when you walk in one of those houses which smell, they have a very potent smell, like an aroma, like a grandma aroma. That's exactly what this smells like. So it's far from that modern, clean, airy type of idea. It's very old. It's kind of dark. You have these curtains which are just too dark for the room, and this old TV. I don't know, it really brings me to that place. I didn't even have a grandmother that matched this kind of idea. I guess it's reading books, watching movies, watching TV. It's just in pop culture. I really associate this to purple, the color purple, maybe the color brown, maybe the color like sage green, all these like colors from like the 70s or something like that. It's a great scent because it's really intentional. It's bold. It doesn't hit that middle ground of like, I don't know what to be, so I'll try to appeal to everyone. It does not hit that. It's really, really intentional. Some say that this smells like makeup. Like if you read reviews on Parfumo or Fragrantica, a lot of people say this smells like my mom's makeup bag or my mom's handbag or something like that. I sort of get it, and I guess this is really powdery and makeup-y in a way, because I imagine also like hugging my grandma, that she wore way too much foundation and you get just whiffs of like this lipsticky, makeup-y, cakey foundation on her. I think it's great. I think that this fragrance is great. I think that despite all that I said, again, you would think that it leans feminine, but a guy could totally pull this off. It's such a unique scent that really transcends modernity in a way, that it's really like a statement piece. And Again, if you're not afraid of powdery scents, this is really great. And actually, a lot of modern, greatly appreciated fragrances are very powdery. See Dior Homme Intense or something like Alexandria 2 from Xerjoff. They're both very, very powdery, and they have the kind of the same powderiness. This is just vintage, a vintage version of that. So we could explore the idea of vintage perfumery and if it's still functional today. I think that styles change, obviously, and in men perfumery from the 80s, for example, you would get like, you would associate that your typical like polo green, very abrasive aromatics. I don't really have much experience with women perfumery from the past, so to me a lot of these scents, which were really bold and some of them are really animalic, actually are, I feel that they're very unisex today. Another one that follows suit in a very different way is Guerlain Mitsuko. That one is also very interesting. And I think that all of these can be worn today, and as the same way that you would go to like a thrift store and pick up something maybe old-fashioned and just throw it on and layer it with modernity, and it just works for some reason. If you like boldness and if you like performance, this is probably for you. The longevity and just the wear experience of this is completely beast mode. It's 10 hours plus with a lot of projection. You will be smelled and you can smell yourself. It's really hard to escape this. It's really hard to wash off. Beware. I wouldn't say necessarily that it's mass appealing to today's standards, but it is clean and non-offensive. You could probably wear this without anybody questioning it. So yeah, as I mentioned at the start of the video, this review will not get many views. It will not get much traction, but that's sort of a shame, and not because of my video, I don't really care, but because more people should be exposed to Molinard and to Habanita. Molinard is a great house. It has high quality products. It's French perfumery, French old school perfumery at its best in a way, and it's affordable, so it's a no-brainer. Just give it a shot. If you're getting bored of seeing the usual content, if you're getting bored of seeing the another top 10 Xerjoff fragrances video, and you think that these new fragrances are all very expensive, again, I really encourage you. Check out Molinard, check out Fragonard, check out a little bit more niche houses that are out of the range. Don't be scared of going the unpopular route. There are some hidden gems along the way. If you like this content, if you like my video approach, feel free to subscribe. It always helps and it's always welcome. If you want to interact with me, if you have any comments, opinions, suggestions, whatever you want, feel free to leave them down below in the comment box. I always reply and I always interact. Thanks as always for watching. Thank you for your time. Until the next video, another review down. See you next time. Cheers.